These are just a few of the $80 billion worth of goods Australia imported from China in 2019.
It's not just iPhone components or cars. For example, the other day I was looking at the back of a pack of rice crackers, and I discovered that my rice crackers are actually made in China, which I never would have expected.
And it's not just what we import. What we export to China is worth more than double the next largest export partner, Japan, and eclipses the rest of the top 5, South Korea, the US, and India. On paper, it's just a whole lot of numbers, but any trouble with our biggest trading partner will affect Australian businesses and jobs.
Economic issues are really about people, and I think that's the most important thing to remember when we're talking about the economy. This is about people's well-being.
That's why tensions with China are making economists uneasy.
We are extremely dependent on China for our economic well-being. Australia's economy really needs that flow of exports from Australia to China in order to earn money in global markets and grow our GDP.
At the moment, China loves buying our iron ore and coal. International students from China allow Australia to rake in an extra $32 billion. And China's taste for Aussie food and drink, like our beef, wine, and barley, is worth almost $5 billion. Those industries have been on a knife's edge since May, when China slapped tariffs on Australian barley and told its students to reconsider studying in Australia.
Without trade with China, we would be left with a big hole in our income, and it means that people are going to be forced to go home to their families and admit that they have lost their incomes. We really don't want to be fighting both wars at once, a trade war with China at the same time as a war against the coronavirus.
What would happen if we couldn't trade with China anymore?
There isn't a single country that makes a good substitute for China because it is so massive, except possibly India, but India remains still a lot less wealthy than China.
Despite the tension, a complete halt in trade with China seems like an unlikely scenario.
There are very few things that can only be made in China if there was a really acute trade crisis. And I want to say that I don't think that sort of acute stoppage in imports is something that's likely to happen anytime soon.